Harry Creamer. A question for Jerry or perhaps Roger. The horse-drawn era in transport ended because Henry Ford invented the motor car. Can you tell us a bit about the inventions for a clean energy future that we can look forward to, and how putting a price on carbon can help us to get there?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Another thing actually that helped draw to the end the horse-drawn era is that places like Melbourne and Sydney were getting pretty difficult to live in because they were filling up with horse excrement, and so there was a pollution of its own type there that led to a change. And now we've replaced it with another one. There's been a big body of work that said what are all of the things that could be applied to lead us into a much lower carbon economy. And there's a scientific piece of work done by Princeton University. So they talked about the famous Princeton wedges. Basic energy efficiency in buildings is one part of it. Either finding a solution for coal-fired power stations through carbon sequestration, or finding another fuel for them. Using gas in power stations rather than coal. It's a much lower carbon footprint. Biofuels, correctly produced, is another one. Obviously, renewables such as solar is part of the potential solution in the future, and also wind. One of these 14 wedges that was used, one is also uranium, which has a virtually a zero footprint when it comes to carbon. So there's a whole host of them, some of which are ready to go today, and they just need the right incentives. Some of them are actually feasible, at the laboratory, the lab level, but they actually need industrial scaling up, and that needs appropriate support to actually get it through what I call the technology valley of death. But I would speculate to say that in 100 years we could be seeing a world where solar could be a huge part of the energy equation, where on-road transport would be through electric cars, fueled by renewable energy. And also there could be a lot of liquid fuels around which are zero carbon through second generation biofuels. So they're just some of the things that would be sort of the macro things that happen. I think basic energy conservation and changes of the way that we live are going to be fundamental to that, because we're not going to be able to continue with exactly the same lifestyle.
All right, we'll wrap that Jerry up there. And do you want to answer something else?
Just very briefly, coming back to the price of carbon, the question that was asked, and I think two things have come very clearly from what Jerry has said. Probably the first of those is that there's no single silver bullet, and if anybody tells you that there is, they're probably trying to sell you something that defies the laws of second law of thermodynamics or whatever. There's no single silver bullet. We can't all wait for fusion energy to arrive. It's been 50 years away, for the last 20 years away for the last 60 years. Second point, price of carbon won't necessarily help at the end of pure research, or indeed at this point of actually doing the scaling up. Those demand technology support. But what a price of carbon is very good at is pulling that technology through when it's in place. When it's getting to the point where it is a commercial opportunity, if you take into account all of the costs, including carbon costs, that's where a price of carbon is critical. There are lots of those technologies which are ready to be used now, which we know can lower our carbon footprint. if the market has an incentive to use them, and that's what a price of carbon will do.
All right, thank you, Roger. We'll move on. Another